Do you think our current benchmarks are not well placed to cope with the changes that are happening? Like education makes, in my view, I'll give you my experience of education, right? Went to a terrible school. I hated my school, hated my teachers, grew up being scared of things I should not have been scared of. I was probably scared of my class teacher, this teacher, that teacher. Stopped going to school beyond the 10th. I didn't go. I started working and stuff like that. But what I remember of school is it taught me to be conformist in a manner where their idea of what I should be, their idea of what I should learn, their idea of what is required to get the outcome we just spoke about, being job, success, entrepreneurship, whatever, that was met. But that idea seems to be changing very quickly in the world. I don't think you become successful 10 years from now by being conformist anymore.
So my view on that is that the definition of school is also changing. For example, if you ask an 11th or 12th standard student, especially if they are not preparing for test prep or if they are because of their parents said so, if you truly ask them what they want to be, being a YouTuber would be like a lot of people would say they want to be a YouTuber.
Really?
Now, yeah. And why does that work?
Or a social media celebrity of some kind.
But I think that cycle is turning.
No. But why that works is you need to realize YouTube is sort of like a school with instant gratification and which is non-linear. At school, you could get X marks. On YouTube, if you crack something, you can get like 500,000 marks in a way. You know, those are the kind of views that we get. So that's why I also start thinking that if people eventually want to play non-linear games, these platforms that have opened up, there are 15-year-old kids who are making games on Roblox. There is a kid, one of the most, a YouTuber who earns, 5th largest YouTuber in the world who earns the most money, is a kid who reviews toys. And he makes like $30 million.
So what are you saying about education? So we are saying school
what I'm saying
teaches
is,
you to be too conformist. So what
I'm saying is that YouTube in a way has become sort of like a parallel school.
Right.
People might not start when they are in school.
Do you think that's the future? More democratized peer-to-peer education?
I don't think schooling, we should be in our lifetimes also, forget mine, it's not going to get disrupted to that level.
Why is that?
And I'm not saying that will be disrupted.
If it does, it'll be at that very top 1%
I
level.
agree with.
It's not going to get disrupted.
I think.
And actually, in some ways, it shouldn't.
I agree with that.
It needs to be.
Why?
Because you need to layer.
Yeah.
You need to build on situations.
One of the reasons where I reached was because I found YouTube.
Yeah.
I didn't crack any examinations.
Yeah.
So if you see what are these tournaments, one tournament is that in a traditional sense, if you become good at physics, chemistry, maths, and you crack that examination, I think that's powerful. But I couldn't. I went to a college which had too much fees, where the best job you could get was in one of these IT services companies, 3.5 lakhs. And there was no way I wanted to get that job. Not saying that's a bad job, but that was not for me. So in a way, and this is why I think upgrad and higher ed needs to change is, अगर मेरे को लाइफ में वो ठप्पा लग गया कि आपने जेई नीट क्रैक नहीं करा है, how do you change that?
No, okay.
If you didn't go to a good college, how do you change that? And I think YouTube is one way. Upgrad mein, if I can get a good degree and that gives me exposure, that's one way. So what I'm saying is that think of a kid who didn't crack, let's say top 3% of kids get into these good colleges. What about the 97%? They go into these engineering colleges in, let's say, tier 2, tier 3 cities. Their job placement rate is 2%, 5%, 10%. अब उनका क्या होगा? So their capability is there, but they don't get the exposure. But
is that a problem that there are not enough jobs, or is that a problem that they're not well enough educated?
Both. See, education doesn't solve for exposure. अब मेरे को LinkedIn पे, you know why people prepare for UPSC examinations? There is a friend of mine. She gave the UPSC examinations 4 to 5 times. Extremely smart friend. I'm like, you gave the examination 5 times. Why? Because of the predictability. Okay, once I crack it, I will get this wealth or this status or this credibility, or my father would give me validation. So at the end of the day, it takes a lot of years for you to come out of the shell that was created for you, etc. And you are always seeking that validation. And this is my question to all of you. Think of a kid, and this is huge chunk of our population. The kid does not crack a good examination. The kid goes to an average college. The college does not get the kid a job. What does he or she do?
But that's changing. In many ways, I
want
feel
to throw
like...
one more light, because I think if you want to look at a broad topic like we are about changing a job, it's quite universal. And we won't draw the best examples and inspiration for the people who are kind of listening to this unless we take a little bit more of a global perspective without being just completely global.
Correct.
And global does not mean the US, because Africa, Vietnam, some other markets like that, very, very, very unique and different. But if you take the cluster of all of that together, you'll actually find some very clear parallels that actually can make you give you. So I think I just wanted to put that into perspective. That some of the challenges on a countrywide basis is not going to be able to solve. But if you put a lot of those perspectives, you can have a bigger solution, and then it'll start applying to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to keep everything a little more concise, mindful of time. But I would like to, maybe add here that today companies like Facebook, Google, Tesla, even us here in India, we don't care about educational qualification in the manner that we once did.
Yeah.
Like, we don't ask for people to tell us what qualification they have. I have not hired anybody ever looking at their degree and their marks.
No, but Nikhil, I think that's a sliver at the top in more evolved parts of our job ecosystem. I think the moment you go one level down, you being an IAS officer or being an IIT grad absolutely matters. But I have a separate question. If the system was good and the test was meritocratic in the right set of ways and everybody had equal opportunity, what's wrong with a test or a way that kind of tells folks who are looking to hire that from this pool, this is the most capable? I agree it's not where it is right now, and that's where, a lot of that solve has to happen.
No, but I think the test is good. I'm talking about folks.
Yeah, but capable is the key word. So I think, today more and more, we are now hard driving those ones. What is capability? What is readiness? What is whatever else? What are you at the cusp of? So I think that all those are changing, which is why I still believe there are some fundamental things that need to be built on. But disrupt, just for the sake of disrupt, actually creates a little bit more chaos.
What skill set do you need to ace these tests? And is that relevant to you doing the job you get after the test?
Soft skills for us here, it's a very sophisticated word. I mean, I call them super skills now. I don't even call them soft skills. Because I just realized as a marketing person that as soon as you add Shaktiman to something, then there's a little bit more attention, right? So if you say super skills versus soft skills sounds very soft. Super sounds I've already like a punchy situation.
The soft skills, the higher up you go in terms of metaphorically the success ladder, which is a crude way of putting it, soft skills becomes more important, indeed super skills.
But you are a product of soft skills. I'm a product of soft skills.
What does that mean?
Otherwise, after 10 standard, if you haven't done it, what else would have got you through life? It is those soft skills. It is that super skills that you manage to build onto that, stayed with it, whatever else, through a background, through a financial, whatever else, and you built on it.
No, but don't you think that's trivializing the issue to, like, for example...
Or shining the light on it.
Okay.
I mean, yes, trivializing it by saying, is it so simple? Yeah, we are. But I think when you really find big solutions, when you simplify it, not when you complicate it.
I agree. Things like empathy, things like leadership and the ability to kind of be with 7 people that have different backgrounds and lead that team or, figure out what motivates who is a very different skill than solving an extremely complicated alphanumeric equation.
5 years back, if I was looking to back a founder or hire somebody which is as a partner with me, I would say problem-solving skills is important. Today, I'm saying spot the problem before you can solve it, because I'm not looking for problem solvers anymore. I'm looking for problem spotters. I'm looking for the guy who looks around the bend and sees, is the train going to hit me or the truck going to hit me? And not somebody's going to solve it, because even that time and density we don't have.
Right, makes sense.
See, if I take a simplistic view, my belief is that everyone is collecting these badges and these credentials, which is what education is about. Now, if somebody takes an online degree from Upgrad great degree. That's a badge because some like I was talking to a SVP of mine, and his wife had taken an upgrad course. I asked him, why did she take that? He said that for her, the moment she put that on her LinkedIn profile, suddenly she started getting more requests. So in a way, what test prep is also doing is, you're collecting these badges. मैंने ये exam crack कर लिया. I have this degree. I went to this college. Or I have so many subscribers. So, or I built this game which was played by so many people. In a way, I like to think that that's what education is becoming about. On how, and then you can say that our system currently is limited. कि अभी ये 6 badges ही available है. But what online can solve for is, कि say, you can do these 3 things also. This is what...
So online is not that different. Yeah. It is an inclusive medium because exclusive is a problem. Here I have to get a test prep to get into IIT.
Exactly.
Perfectly fine. Phenomenal world out there. But hello, we're 10 billion people in the world right now. 8 billion going to 10 billion people, right? So obviously that opportunity of being very democratic on what we want to do is going to have to change quite radically.
I think education has to solve for, so one part of it is the badge gets you into the room with the recruiter and the HR and then, the job. The far bigger challenge is once you're in the job, how are you good at it? Are you good at it? Because there's only so much that you can...
No, I think the opposite is true. I think today, getting into the room is a bigger challenge. People are still, there are, like if for example, Nikhil said that they don't look at the IIT tag. If you don't look at that tag, there are still great people.
A bigger challenge for who and when? Sure, for 18 to 23-year-olds, probably. And yes, it is a challenge because there are not that many jobs, which is a separate problem to solve. But being good at something, anything, is very important. And education should be solving for how to make people passionate about things that they're good
without
for.
using the word education, because again you get back into a little bit of a structured environment. It's very unstructured.
मेरा उसमें problem है कि that's not a education issue, that's a motivation issue. अगर आप किसी को बोल दोगे कि ये crack करके ये मिलेगा, they will work more extra hard for that.
No, I don't know. That might be a little too simplifying it, because you do need that prompt. You need that prompt sheet. You need that prompt sheet. You need that hack. You need that element of it.
My belief is, and we can agree to disagree. Here, instead of bottoms up, the top down approach works, and that's how people think. For example, for that person who bought that upgrade course, it was like, I want a job, and this particular product helps me get more exposure. So I think it starts from the fact कि मुझे 12 लाख का job चाहिए, मुझे 18 लाख का job चाहिए. That's why I want to crack an IIT examination. And that's why I was on a flight and I was seeing an Indigo or Vistara magazine. Every single college ad now had placements with amount of packages people were getting.
Yeah.
Because I think जब वो पता चल जाता है कि अच्छा इस college में average package कितना जाता है और इस college में, because I like to believe that it's not oversimplification, but it's the reality that if you say that you will get X after doing Y, then people are more motivated. So I don't think it's a education issue. I think it's a motivation issue.
Yeah, and maybe it's not an either or. So I don't think it's about us disagreeing or agreeing in that context, because it's such a massive challenge and such a massive opportunity, frankly.
But do you think that would anybody learn anything for the sake of learning? For example,
Yes.
Everything I learn is for the sake of learning.
That's myopic. I think maybe our society has kind of conditioned us into that. But
can I tell you, like personal example? My initial phase of learning was based out of insecurity. I didn't go to school. I didn't go to 11th standard, 12th standard. All my classmates did. That insecurity drove me to learn.
But there's selection bias here. See, there is also a lot of selection bias.
I think there are plenty of inquisitive people in the world.
We talk about any product that has been
successful. Not selection bias. But where I'm getting to today is, I've stopped reading the kind of stuff that I read back then, which would help me be better at a job.
Yeah.
And today I keep reading about history and psychology and philosophy. And these things I do not for a job. This is just because I find them...
But I think that stuff does help you be better in life, and job is part of life in terms of identifying patterns.
You just want to be more rounded every single day of your life.
To simplify it, I read it because I enjoy it.
But again, I would say that's like a very, very, very small subset of the population.
But I think more of the population has to move there, and I hope
That
organically.
I agree. That I agree.
yeah.
That how do we?
Because otherwise we'll get stuck at the entry gate.
Yes.
We're not at the gate of heaven.
Yeah.
We're going to try and experience the whole thing. So all I would say is you're right at the entry gate, but there's much more than the entry gate. And I think we might be all saying the same thing, but at different positions in what we
The
say.
root of this is at some level something you said maybe 5 minutes earlier, where you said education and exposure are different. To me, I think if I think about education as a lifelong process, exposure is an integral part of education that becomes a larger piece of that pie. It just depends on what the context of education is here. If we're talking about education in the context of companies solving for a piece of the value chain to make profit, then it's probably a different education than a more abstract idea.
Hi, I'm Nikhil Kamath. I'd love to know what you thought of the episode. Comment, like, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.